Hello everyone, welcome to our second unit, our second pre-class. Probably when you see this pre-class, we have been together in our video conference, so you know how this works and how to ask questions and how to participate, okay? If you cannot see any video class or any pre-class with me, directly with me, and you want to ask me something, you can do it by email. Or I'm going to open a forum of dudas, okay, in case you don't know what to do with something and you can help each other and I can help you. Okay, in this unit, what you have, it's, as I told you in Unit 1, is secondary education, but in Spain. This was a text taken from a website for foreign students who want to come here to study to Spain. Okay, so so it's very easy. The meaning and the content is very easy, especially for you that if you are Spanish and you have been studying here, because they are going to speak about the levels that you have secondary education in a private, in a public schools, in a subsidized school that is concertada. The enrollment, so is a method of matriculación in Spain, etc. Okay, so but again, pay attention to the vocabulary, because in this unit you are going to have some documents with translation of academic terms in Spanish and in English. For example, how do you say bachillerato, grado, all those things in English, and be careful because this has to be learned for you, for knowing it, of course, and because you're going to be asked about that. You're going to have Spanish syllables, so Spanish syllabus is programaciones, and subjects, okay? Subject is asignatura, so they are going to be how to say the subjects of all the secondary education here in Spain. So please read it, and we will comment on our face-to-face class. I say face-to-face because it's our class, it's a synchronous class, but it's not face-to-face because I never see you. But it's very, very important to have the microphone and to participate, not only to write yes or haha. Okay, so you have to speak English. In this grammar point of Unit 2, it's passive voice. What is passive voice? Probably you remember when you studied at school that they broke the table was broken. Okay, so you change the subject and the agent. But why do we use passive? What we cannot do is to think that English is like mathematics. So from active to passive from active, report to speech, you change the verbs and you change like a mathematical formula. And English is not a formula, okay? English is a language. So we have to think, when do English people use passive, okay? Passive is very common, for example, in journalism. When you read a newspaper, you will find a lot of passive voice structures in an article. And passive is used when we don't know the subject or who did it. For example, if you say in Spanish, se están construyendo edificios, you don't know who, so this construction is passive, okay? Many buildings are being built. So this is the way we construct passive, and this is when we use passive. As I put you in this slide, as you always speak about the three columns, las tres columnas, but this is very vulgar for me, so I don't like to know the three columns. I see the three tenses, okay? It's, the infinitive, the past, and the past participle. But for passive voice, it's very important to know the three of them, because if you make mistakes in the participle, probably the passive voice cannot be understood. So if you don't remember the irregular verbs, please study them. If you want, I can upload irregular verb document, but anyway, you can find it anywhere. In this explanation of passive voice, we will see verbs with two objects, personal and impersonal passive, passive in subordinate clauses, and causative verbs. We will do it like in Unit 1. These slides will be repeated in our class, in our video class, synchronous video class, but you will have more exercises and we will do them together, okay? I will ask you and you have to write in the chat the answer of the sentence, but and probably I am a bit fast in this explanation, but you have this presentation, you have my recording, and you have the possibility of asking me. Okay, so how to make the passive? This is, as I told you before, this is very obvious because it's a change. So it was stolen. It was stolen. Fue robado. Who? I don't know. But this happens. This is why we use a passive. So is the to be, verb to be, always a verb to be, past participle, stolen, and the agent is not necessary if you don't know it, of course. If you know the agent or the subject before, for example, it was stolen by a politician. In this case, you should put the agent. But if they say it was stolen or someone stole, you don't need to put someone or the agent. The televisions are made in Japan, okay? So who? We don't know. The televisions are made in Japan, probably by the Japanese, but you don't know, you don't need to put it, okay? So from active to passive, remember that, for example, in this case, the child eats an apple. It's a present, it's an active. The direct object is an apple. And the passive, it's an apple. So the direct object now is the subject. Is eaten. So if this eats is in present, you have to put a present in the verb to be, to eaten by the child. In this case, we put the child because we know who ate the apple, okay? But if you put by someone eats the apple, probably it wouldn't be necessary to put the agent, okay? So the uses of passive. When we want to change the focus of the sentence, the Mona Lisa was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. The focus is that we want to focus the attention in Mona Lisa, not Leonardo da Vinci. If you put Leonardo da Vinci painted Mona Lisa, probably we are more interested in the subject, but in this case, Mona Lisa was painted. This is the focus of the attention, okay? When it is not important to know who, as I told you before, so it was stolen, it was arrested, the road is being repaired, because apart from that, we imagine that if something was stolen, you don't know who, by logical, okay? Or if the road is being repaired, you imagine that the technicals or the workers, the one who are repairing the road, so you don't need to put the subject, okay? This is one of the uses of the passive voice. In scientific writing, I told you that it was used in journalism, but it's also used by scientists, okay? For example, the chemical is placed in a test tube. When you are describing a process of something, procedimiento, so you use the passive voice. This is done, this is written, this is made, okay? In formal writing, when you don't want to use someone or people or they, as I told you before, you use the passive voice. For example, the brochure, el folleto will be finished next month. To improve the style, the 3 books are used regularly in the class, so it's more formal, okay? But if you, as a non-native speaker, don't remember or don't want to use a passive because you don't remember the past participle, you don't need to use it. But if you are writing, I recommend you in a formal way that you use it. When the subject is very long, I was surprised by how well the students did in the test, okay? To describe the result of an action carried out by the other people, the house has been painted. So the action is painted. Mary was arrested yesterday by the police. So probably this is a theoretical explanation of how to use passive voice, but what you need to know is the structure of the sentences, okay? And in next class, what in our synchronous class, what I will do is that I give you an active sentence, and you immediately have to transform it into passive. So you have to understand this form, this explanation, and these structures. Okay, for example, we have present, that I told you that if it's present, the verb to be has to be in present. Past, so the past in passive has to be the verb to be in the past. Was or were. Remember that was is for singular and were for plural. And the present perfect. If the present perfect there was a present perfect inactive, there should be another present perfect of the verb to be, have been, has been, in the passive. So this is like a mathematical formula, but don't think of English as a mathematical formula. Just understand it, okay? For example, you have, as you can see in each slide, you have an example, you have little writing, because as you know, in all the presentations, we always teachers recommend you not to put too much text, because if you put too much text in a presentation or in a slide, you have no time to read and to listen. So just read it and listen to me. Because probably you say, 27 slides are too many, but it's because in each one we have short explanation or a couple of sentences. Okay. The past. So here you have another example. They were sent by train. My suit was being cleaned at the time. Now you have a comparison here with present perfect, past perfect, future, and infinitive. If you don't remember the tenses, you have an example here. All the tickets have been sold. Se han vendido todos los tickets. All the tickets have been sold. Okay. I was too late. The papers had been removed. Se han quitado los papeles. Had been removed. Habían, but sorry, had been is in the past. You will meet at the station. Will be met. Okay. Yes, this is will be met. Sorry, this is a mistake I have to correct now in the presentation before I upload it. Infinitive, to be. I don't want to be arrested. We shouldn't be arrested. This is a passive. I have to change the previous one because it's inactive. You have the same more or less, so it's from active to passive, from passive to active. Listen, if you have an exercise of transforming passive sentence into active, you don't need to put the agent. For example, if I say a cake is made and you have to transform it into active, you can invent the subject. Okay, my mother makes a cake, or a cake is being made. She is making a cake. Okay, so you can invent the subject when you put from passive to active, because you will have to do it in the exam and in class to put from active to passive or from passive to active. More examples, but with past perfect, with future simple, future perfect. I will make, will be made. I will have been. Okay, so for this, I'm not going to stop in these slides, because these are for you to take your time and understand it, because you have to pay attention to the change of the verbs and the 3 column or the 3 past participle verb. That is very important. If you make a mistake in these things, you have a wrong sentence. Well, this is more about structure. Rita wrote a letter to me. A letter was written to me, or I was written a letter. Okay, if you see this, it has the same meaning. Rita wrote a letter to me. Okay, so this is the active. So you can say, you can concentrate the subject in the object. A letter was written to me. Or in the subject, I was writing a letter. This last sentence doesn't exist in Spanish because you cannot say yo fui escrita. But in English, you can center the attention when you make the passive in I was written a letter. Someone gave me a book. You can say I was given a book, or a book was given to me. So you can say both. And you will find this passive with two objects very frequently. For example, this is the example I gave you. He was given the book was given to me, okay? You can find this passive with two objects with verbs like give, ask, offer. A job was offered to him, or he was offered a job, for example. So with all these verbs that you have in these slides, you can have passive with two objects. I will ask you in the synchronous class what kind of sentences. For example, I will give you a verb and you have to transform it into passive with two objects with both of them. Okay, so study it and try to understand it. Personal and impersonal passive. It's what I told you. For example, in Spanish you say se están construyendo. This is impersonal because you don't know who. So to build houses are built. Okay, this is impersonal. He says, it is said. Se dice que tú, it is said that you or you are said. Be careful with this. I will try to explain longer and deeply this kind of passive, because it's a bit more complicated and I have to explain in a wider way. For example, they say that women live longer than men. If you see the structure of say that, or think that, you have to transform it in this way. They say that women live longer than men. It is said that women live longer than men. So the second part of the sentence is the same, so very easy. Or they say that women live longer than men, or women are said. This is the most common one. So they say that women, it is transformed in women are said to. Always the passive with the first verb and to. I repeat, when you find the structure of they say that, or they think that, or they know that, the passive can be made in two ways. It is said that, and it's the same, or the subject is women are said to live. So passive plus to with infinitive. We will see more examples of this one in our class, okay? The causative verb have and get something done. Probably you have heard about this. I always ask the same question. What is the difference between I cut my hair, or I have my hair cut, or I paint my house, or I have my house painted? The problem is that if you take scissors and you cut your hair, is I cut my hair. But if you go to the hairdresser and someone cut your hair, you don't cut your hair, you have your hair cut. If you paint your house, you paint your house. But if you say I have my house painted, it means that people come to your house, painters, and paint your house, not to. Okay? So as theoretically explained here, is the causative verbs to have or to get something done. It's the same to have or to get. They are used when you arrange someone to do something, okay? You don't do it yourself. For example, as you have here, I'm going to get my car fixed. Fix es arreglar, reparar. Me van a arreglar el coche. Voy a llevarlo. I'm going to get my car fixed tomorrow. Okay? If you are a mechanic, okay, you probably say, I'm going to fix my car. But if you take it to the garage, you say, I'm going to get my car fixed tomorrow. Remember that garage apart from garaje, is the mechanic. Get your hair cut. Córtate el pelo. So it's not that you take the scissors and you cut your hair, but it's someone, so go to the hairdressers and they cut your hair. Examples, have something done. This is called the have something done structure. I don't know how to repair cars, so I'm having mine repaired. No sé cómo arreglar coches, so I'm having mine repaired. Lo voy a llevar al mecánico. Get something done. If you substitute have by get, it's the same, okay? I really must get my eye tested. Que me revisen la vista. I'm sure I need glasses. So as you can see, something that others do for you, not you yourself. So the example, sometimes you understand better the things if I read the example, so you give examples of something, because as I told you before, I don't like English to be seen as a mathematical structure, so I prefer to give examples than to see this formula subject have to object participle, because when you are speaking English, you are not going to think about the formula, you are thinking about the sentence. For example, all the examples that you have here are causative passive. I'm having my house painted, I have had the car fixed, me han arreglado el coche, I have had the car fixed, I'll have your coat cleaned for you. So I'll have your coat clean, te lo llevo a la tintorería. I have your coat clean. I take it and they clean it for you. Not that I'm going to clean it for you. I had my suit cleaned last week. She's going to have her house repaired. Van a arreglarle la casa, okay, by the council. She's going to have her house repaired. So be careful with this structure, because you have to change it in present perfect, in past perfect, in future. And we will see this in our examples in the next class. Not now, because now it's very difficult to assume all the things that I am explaining. He had his car cleaned, he has cleaned his car. So he took the car and cleaned it, or he had his car cleaned, he took the car for someone to clean it, okay? Okay, so you have more examples. When someone does something to you, Bill had his money stolen. Bill had his money stolen. Le robaron, le habían robado el dinero. Bill had his money stolen. They had her car repaired, so you have more examples about the same. Let me check something. Yes. Pay attention to these, because next day you have a couple of slides full of exercises about this explanation. I'm going to ask you to solve the sentences, to write the answers, and you have to change the active sentence into a causative passive. So try to understand it, okay? We can use have something done to talk about giving instructions. I had my assistant type the report. Dice, mi ayudante me pasó a máquina, a ordenador el informe. I had my assistant, se lo dije yo que lo hiciera. I had my assistant type the report. I'll have my lawyer look into it. Haré que mi abogado lo mire. Okay, I'll have my lawyer look into it. Okay. And this is the last slide, and this is, I have explained too many things, and I have explained too many kinds of passive, but like always, I always select one slide, and this kind of slide, this kind of exercise that I have selected is related to two objects. Do you remember I was given, for example, I was given a book, or a book was given to me? So this is the exercise you have to do for next day. Remember what I always tell you, I'm not going to evaluate the exercise with a numerical mark, but I'm going to check if you have seen the video, you have seen my presentation, and you have done the exercise. So probably I'll always put a tick because you have done it, but in our next synchronous class, I will check if you understood, and if you have any question, just tell me. Okay, I have finished Unit 2, so thank you very much, and I hope to see you in our synchronous class.